Level 1, $25,000. The self-checkout light is too bright and the total won't stop climbing. 19, 23, 26. Somewhere in the middle of it, you already know how this ends, so you do the thing you've done 100 times without ever being taught it. You lift the six-pack out of the bagging area, the good one, the small Friday thing you look forward to all week, and you set it quietly to the side, like you never picked it up, like it was never yours to want. At $25,000 a year, you don't have a budget. You have a countdown. Every dollar is spoken for before it lands. Rent, gas, the minimum on a card that never gets smaller. The paycheck arrives already spent. There is nothing between you and zero, not a cushion, not a week. At work, an envelope goes around, somebody's leaving, somebody's baby, it doesn't matter. You fold your bill in half, then in half again, so the number disappears before it reaches the next pair of hands. Your phone cracked back in the spring. You've stopped seeing it. A cracked screen is a $40 problem, and $40 is a decision that costs you something else. So you look at your life through the spider web, and 3 times a day you open your banking app, not to see how much you have, but how many days are left before it's gone. You are certain of one thing down here. There is a single number that ends all of it, a number where the counting stops. You can almost see it from where you're standing. So you chase it, and you catch it. At the bottom, money isn't something you have. It's something you're always about to run out of. You're right that the number works. You're wrong about how long. Level 2, $45,000. The first time you fill the tank all the way without watching the dollar spin, something loosens in your chest you didn't know was clenched. You do a grocery run and you don't put anything back. You keep the six-pack. It feels absurdly like winning something. For the first time in your life, you have a cushion. Not an emergency fund, a cushion. A few $100s that survive to the next payday. Enough to feel calm and nowhere near enough to be safe. Then the wedding invite goes up on the fridge. Someone you love. And underneath the good news, the arithmetic starts on its own. The flight, 2 nights, a gift that can't look cheap. You RSVP no. You tell them it's work. It isn't work. It's that you finally have something to lose and you can't watch it vanish over one weekend. Then the washer dies mid-cycle, and instead of replacing it, you learn the laundromat's hours. Because you are not poor anymore. You are fragile. One bad week doesn't end you now. It just resets you to zero and makes you start the cushion over from nothing. You still open the app, but the question changed. You're not counting down to empty anymore. You're checking whether the cushion made it through the week. Fragile isn't the same as poor. Fragile is having something and knowing exactly how little it takes to lose it. So you climb toward the number where people say you've officially made it. Nobody warns you what's already waiting up there. Level 3, $75,000. On paper, you're a stranger's dream. For the first time, there's real savings, an actual emergency fund, a few months of life sitting in an account you don't touch. You move money into something that isn't spending, a retirement account, an index fund, and your hand hovers over the button like you're signing something permanent. Then a car repair comes, $600. You pay it and your chest doesn't move. Absorbing a hit without collapsing, that's brand new. That's the first real thing the money ever gave you. And then your mother mentioned something. Too casually, the specific too casual she uses when it's serious, that she's been putting something off, a procedure. The roof that's been leaking into a bucket she never mentioned. For the first time in your life, hearing it, you don't feel helpless. You can cover it. And in that moment, you cross a line you can never step back over, from the person who needed catching to the person who can catch someone else. You became useful to the people who raised you. There is no feeling underneath money quite like it. You check the number that night and it stays. It isn't a countdown. It isn't a cushion. It's a floor. The first thing you've ever stood on that didn't wobble. The first thing real money buys isn't comfort. It's the ability to say yes when someone you love finally admits they need help. And here's what safety does to you, the part no one warns you about. The fear that drove you for years goes quiet, and something moves into the space it leaves. You start to feel you've earned the right to live a little. The next raise isn't survival anymore. It's permission. So you reach for 6 figures believing it will finally let you enjoy the climb. That's where money plays its cruelest trick. Level 4, $120,000, the number you'd have wept over at 22. To every person you grew up with, this means you won. Full stop. You sit down at a restaurant and order without reading the right side of the menu for the first time in your life. Real choices now. Real convenience. Things just get easier, quietly, in a dozen small ways you stop noticing. And that is the exact month nothing is left over. Because the raise never sat in the bank. It moved into a bigger apartment, a nicer car payment, a neighborhood, a standard. Your income climbed, and somehow what you actually keep stayed flat. And here's the thing nobody tells you at 6 figures, the thing that changes everything about the levels above this one. You were never climbing toward freedom. You were quietly raising the price of your own life. Every raise bought a lifestyle that now needs the raise to survive. Because a big salary isn't wealth. Wealth is what you own that pays you back while you sleep. You have a large income and almost nothing that works without you. The day you stop showing up, all of it stops. To everyone below you, you look like you won. And you let them believe it because the truth that 120,000 can feel tight would sound obscene to a man treading water. You look at the number. It's healthy. But every dollar in it already has a name. It isn't savings, it's a schedule. A big income doesn't make you rich, it just makes your life expensive to keep alive. You swear you'll fix it at the next level. You won't. It only gets more expensive. Level 5. $250,000. $250,000. Genuinely comfortable now. The kind you used to fantasize about in the laundromat. And for the first time, the money buys something it never could before. Time. Someone cleans. Someone fixes. You fly instead of drive 12 hours. You hand money to problems that used to cost you a whole weekend and they disappear. That's real. That's the best thing the climb ever gave you. But comfort at this level didn't come free and it didn't come owned. It came rented, billed monthly, paid by continuing to earn. The mortgage that could house a small family, the school, the standard of living that everyone can see. None of it is bought and finished. All of it quietly assumes the 250,000 keeps arriving on time every year forever. And then comes the moment you don't expect. You think, just for a second, on a bad day, about walking away from the job. The hours, the pressure, the version of you it's slowly eating. And you can't. Not out of pride. Because the life you built needs the exact income this job produces, and there is no version of stopping that doesn't bring it all down. You earn a fortune, and you are not free to stop earning it. You run the numbers one night, how long your savings would actually cover the life you've built if the paycheck stopped. And for all that income, the answer comes back in months, not years. The number that lands on you is the whole story of this level. The income is enormous. The runway underneath it is short. You look wealthy. You are, in truth, highly paid. A large income wearing the clothes of wealth, and income is a thing that can end with a single email. You don't check the balance anymore. You check that the income is still coming, the client still there, the deal still alive, because the balance alone was never going to hold this up. The more you earn, the more you need, until the income you chased becomes the one thing you can't afford to lose. The top of the ladder. $500,000 a year. Every person you grew up with would trade their whole life for this one without a second of hesitation. And for the first time, something is finally genuinely different, not just bigger. It isn't the salary that changed things. It's what years of earning it finally allowed you to build. Investments, equity, property, real assets that exist whether or not you wake up and show up tomorrow. For the first time, years of income have become wealth, not just money coming in. You own something that pays you back instead of only ever being the one who pays. Which means the fear doesn't just grow, it changes shape. It is no longer, can I afford this? Most of what you'd reasonably want is within reach now. The question underneath every quiet moment has changed to, can I keep this? A bad decision, a bad year, a tax bill with more digits than your first year of rent, a lawsuit, a market that turns, one wrong bet, any of it could quietly undo a decade of work while you're looking the other way. An ordinary morning. Coffee. You sit down at a table that cost more than a year of your old salary, and you pick up your phone, the flawless one, No spider web across the glass anymore. And you pause before you open it. Not because there might be too little. That fear died 3 levels ago. Because something you built might have quietly come apart while you slept. You aren't protecting survival anymore. You're protecting something that took years to build, and the fear of watching it come apart is nothing like the fear of running out. It's heavier and it's quieter. And that pause, that exact pause, is the one you felt setting a six-pack quietly to the side at a self-checkout so a machine wouldn't shame you. Here's what the money actually did. It kept every promise. The countdown, the cushion, the fragility, the tight month, the declined card, every single problem the number was supposed to solve, it solved. It removed all of them. It just couldn't remove the one thing living underneath them all. Because the freest person on this ladder was never the one earning the most. It was the one whose life would still stand if the income stopped tomorrow. Money keeps its promises. It clears the debt, the counting, the fear of running out. Every problem the number was supposed to solve, it solves. It just never promised you'd stop being afraid of losing what you built. Because that fear was never about the money. It was about finally having something to lose.